So almost a year ago, I made a video titled The Truth About Our Online Character, a documentary which became a fan favorite for many. In there, we basically went through the entire backstory of how we became the most feared criminal in the state of San Andreas. And while 99% of everything I mentioned in that video was indeed correct and factual, there were some minor mistakes that many of you guys kindly and, well, not so kindly brought out. However, if it was only about some minor corrections, I wouldn't even be making this video. The actual reason for this documentary is that back then we didn't really discover how in the hell did our online character manage to create himself such an impressive network of connections ranging from drug lords, the FIB and the Securiserve network to the underground street racing scene and groups like the Fooligans. In all fairness, back then we couldn't have even really understood this, because during the last 12 months we have gotten 2 new DLCs added to the game, both of which have completely reshaped the behind the scenes of GTA Online's criminal networks. We have been introduced to some incredibly important characters and shown some extremely hidden details you most likely have even missed. And it's these new details and characters that have given us a completely new and clear understanding of how our online character has managed to become so interconnected with literally every organization in the game. So without further ado, this is how our online character became so connected to literally everyone. To start off, we have to go all the way back to Liberty City in 2008. During the same time that Nico and Roman were making moves in the City of Dreams, there was another new criminal in town trying to make a name for himself. Now, according to my poll, most of you guys don't actually consider the online character of Grand Theft Auto 4 to be the same person as our current one, and in all honesty, I completely do understand this. This whole theory is basically built on a single small detail that has by now even been removed from the game. Back on the old gen consoles, when you first logged into GTA Online, you were shown a scene of our online character just arriving to Los Santos by an airplane. And not just any airplane, a Fly US commercial jet. Further hinting towards the fact that when GTA Online action started, our online character moved from LC to the streets of LS. Whatever your interpretation of this is, isn't even that important here, but have you ever wondered why we managed to so overwhelmingly succeed in Los Santos, while in Liberty City our career was, well, short-lived to say the least? To answer this question, I replayed the entire so-called storyline of GTA Online, from the very first missions to the last DLC content, with a sole quest to ultimately understand this phenomenon. And finally, during the last Money Fronts DLC action, I managed to come to a groundbreaking conclusion. So here's my theory. The sole reason why we managed to become such a successful criminal in Los Santos, while beforehand miserably failing in Liberty City, is all because of a single guy called Lester Crest. Despite Lester being already happily retired with Georgiana for a few years now, it is still him who is actually connected to the characters we were introduced this summer, especially Mr. Faber. I know all of this is extremely confusing, so let me just explain it to you from the beginning. You see, when we landed in Los Santos back in 2013, the only connection we had was Lamar, who we had prior met online in Life Invader. Through Lamar, we made some connections in town, like Gerald, who we ran a narcotics business with, or Simeon, who we helped repossess sold vehicles for, but none of these connections were really big enough to take our career to the next level. Luckily, at the same time, it was Lester who was keeping a very tight eye on the entire criminal scene of Los Santos. Remind you, GTA Online happened before GTA 5 in very early 2013, so Lester himself was also searching for partners to kind of restart his criminal career with. A career which had previously been cut short by the failure of the North Yankton bank heist. and although the jobs we did for Lamar, Simeon and Gerald were small, they were impressive enough for Lester to also contact us directly. Despite the fact that we had been waiting for our chance, Lester didn't want to for some reason involve us to the GTA 5 storyline robberies, not to the Evangelico heist, the Palito score, and neither to the Union Depository heist as even a simple crew member. However, we were still given our own smaller bank heist robbery, aka the infamous Fleeka job.
Okay, first time, Fleesa! Woo!
But here's where things get interesting. I think that the Fleeka job wasn't even a real heist in Lester's own head, but rather a simple experiment to test our online character's actual abilities. Because think about it. Why would someone like Lester even bother with such a simple and small reward heist as the Fleeka job if there wasn't something more involved in there? Furthermore, after we had successfully managed to rob the Fleeka bank, and by the way even gotten a hidden congrats from Lester himself.
Hey, for the first time that wasn't bad, but don't get clingy.
Lester took the risk and decided to recommend us to the IAA, specifically Agent 14.
So, Mr. Crest said we should talk about work.
Now, it is obvious that Lester has some great connections within the IAA if he directly decided to contact Agent 14 himself. Furthermore, we basically work for the IAA during our Doomsday heist operations with Lester, so we are also connected with Mrs. Rackman and Agent ULB from the agency. Anyway, at first sight, all this talk about Lester and the IAA doesn't seem to be in any way connected to the Money Fronts DLC whatsoever. That's until we take a look at the private jet leaving scene.
Gracias. You know, Ralph, you should meet my son, Miguel. He could show you around.
Did you see that? After us, it was none other than Agent 14 who had a meeting with Mr. Faber himself. It is obvious that Agent 14 is also buying the same tax optimizing services that, according to Madrazo, the entirety of Los Santos bosses are using.
Every dollar in this fucking town, it goes through him. He's my guy. He's El Rubio's guy. Anybody who's in charge of anybody, their guy.
And this is a perfect example that sets up my most important point in this theory. Lester, being the kind of a spying freak he is, I am absolutely sure he knows that most of Los Santos are using Mr. Faber to minimize paying their taxes without the IRS getting involved. And I'm also sure that it's through this exact Faber network that Lester knows most of the criminal bosses in the San Andreas region. I mean, he even knew Martin Madrazo back in 2013 when he supposedly had never had a single interaction with the guy.
Look, I just owe some Mexican hood a couple $1 million because I wrecked his girlfriend's house. I don't need to go crazy here.
Which Mexican?
Martin Madrazo.
He's not supposed to be very nice.
Oh, when I met him, he was charming.
So what I'm trying to prove here is that it is through this Mr. Faber's tax network that Lester knows most of the underground criminal profiles of Los Santos, many of which he himself has connected directly to our online character. I mean, think about it. Firstly, it was the IAA heists, then it was Trevor, who, okay, maybe didn't even come from the same network, but whose RV van we quote-unquote accidentally stole through Lester's orders.
So it's time to start repaying your debt to society, and you can start by dealing with the terrible harm you've done to the local businesses, especially mine. Now go on.
After that, in 2016, the SecuroServe network quite randomly decided to contact our online character to be their next CEO. Why our online character? And where did they even get our information? Again, I believe that it was yet again an experiment from Lester himself. He recommended us to the SecuroServe network to see how well we can, for the first time ever, handle our own businesses. Of course, he again had his own interests in the game, as after we had proven ourselves in also this field, he yet again contacted us through his undercover name LJT to run a similarly built up motorcycle club businesses. And for anyone who doesn't believe that LJT is Lester, I think this call is enough proof of that.
Hey, it's JT. We got trouble at work.
Lester was the guy who gave our online character an opportunity. Opportunities after which everyone else also lined up to be our business associate. Be it Agent 14 himself, or guys like Ron Jankowski, Kay Tony, or even the Diamond Casino and Resort. From 2017 onwards, we finally earned ourselves a good enough of a reputation that we didn't have to be recommended by Lester anymore. Proof of this can be found in many different interactions in the later DLCs. For example, the Contract DLC, where Franklin claimed all fingers to point at us.
Man, everybody I asked about setting this thing up, they all pointed straight at you.
Or the comeback of Yusuf Amir, who only wanted to work with the most professional criminals in Los Santos.
Let me tell you, it's no wonder I keep hearing about someone with Los Santos in the palm of their hand. No, I say to myself, this is someone you should be in the business with.
Or even one of the latest interactions with a former FIB agent, Jody Marshall.
I still have a backdoor access into FIB records, so I pulled up your file. Quite a read. Drug trafficking, arms dealing, grand larceny, laundering, armed robbery, smuggling.
That one I did too.
Culpable homicide, and illegal street racing. Not bad for page 1.
So let's conclude everything that we have covered. Our online character can be canonically linked to the GTA 4 online character, although it's everyone's own decision if they decide to either agree or disagree with this theory. The reason we had a breakthrough in Los Santos after 2013, but not in Liberty City before that, can largely be attributed to the connections that we managed to make early on in our criminal career here in the City of Saints. And by that I don't mean the initial connections on the streets with different family members or creepy old car dealers. The success can largely be contributed to Lester, through whom we managed to create a whole web of connections in the criminal underworld of San Andreas. These connections all came from the wide network of Mr. Faber's clients, who Lester most likely had access to. Because it cannot be a coincidence that two guys, Agent 14 and Martin Madrazo, guys who haven't been linked to each other whatsoever, and who Lester both knows are accidentally using the same guy's financial services. So it is through this random British banker guy, with the help of Lester, that our online character has by 2025 been connected to basically the entire underworld scene of Southern San Andreas. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.